We are at it again. We're doing another wet plate shoot. I'm partnering with my friend Ken, the wet plate photographer who I've worked with several times before. We're actually just saying that it's been about a decade since our first shoot, which is really cool because he's been able to capture me at different parts of my life, and my appearance has really changed, my energy has really changed, and so it's really, really cool. Today our theme is we're kind of going for altered reality, kind of spooky vibes. The concept for this first wet plate on glass was to use a double exposure to create two versions of myself, one light and one dark. For me, this photo represents the integration of my shadow self. Definitely stick around to the end of this video so that you can see the final products, the wet plates as they have been scanned, and I'm so excited to show you what we created with this photo shoot. Our first try didn't work in our favor, mostly because of my positioning and the lighting, so we tried again. So that one didn't turn out exactly as we were thinking, so we're going to try one more time in a different spot with different exposure. This time we did it in front of the blackberries, and we've worked with blackberry branches before because they show up so beautifully on the plates. What's really special and unique about working with wet plates is that the camera often takes over and brings out a perspective and a result that you weren't expecting or planning for, and that's what happened with this photo. The shadow self of me really ended up on the outskirts of the photo, and my face was blurred with the blackberries kind of moving through my face, and it became almost ghostly and haunting. I am so happy and proud with the way that this photo turned out. It's just so symbolic and has so much meaning for me, and I just love that nature really took over to play a part in the way that my shadow self is represented within the photo. Okay, so for this next shoot, we're doing it with my broom, and it's kind of a self-portrait. This is the first broom that I ever made, and this is the dress that I wore in the first pagan handfasting that I did recently, and so it just feels like this photo is a representation of where I'm at and my new era. The last kind of self-portrait that we took has a different vibe because of where I was at. I'm also really hoping that my sunbelt will show up in the photo. For the second photo, we used tin, and you can see Ken preparing it here. For the first shot, we did a 9-second exposure, but it turned out really dark, so we decided to do it again using a 25-second exposure instead. I am so in love with how this photo turned out. I think it's so beautiful, and there are so many hidden details that mean something to me within the photo and my outfit and the surroundings. I particularly love that this photo represents a reclamation of my personal power and my journey as a witch. Okay, so we're gonna do this really cool kind of altered reality Alice in Wonderland inspired shot with a mirror, and I think it's gonna be really cool and really interesting. And I'm going to be pointing at the mirror, so it kind of looks like I'm about to move through the mirror. I think we're gonna go for about a 1-minute 30-second exposure because we're in the forest and it's a little bit darker. This photo took a really long time to set up because the light was shifting through the trees. Here is a view of what it looks like inside the camera lens. For the photographer, the image is flipped upside down, so this is a really cool and unique view. Our first try was a success, and we are so happy with how whimsical this image is and how it really questions physical reality. We're actually going to switch it up, and we're going to do film that develops on 8x10 negatives, and you can take 2 at a time, and we've never done that before, so I think that'll be really cool. For the rest of the afternoon, we played around with the film cameras, taking different pictures around my forest. This felt really nice to do because we were able to capture aspects of my space and all of the surrounding nature with very little setup.
a wrap.
I've received the photos back from Ken and I'm so happy with them. I'm so excited to show you what we created. I really love working with Ken because he really lets my creativity have a place to flow and to flourish, and he really is receptive to all of my wacky ideas, and he loves to experiment with the wet plates. I feel that every photo shoot that we've done together over the last 10 years shows a different part of myself. So the first wet plate that we took was the one where my concept was, it was my light self and my shadow self, and this photo turned out in a really unexpected way. The goal was to have both of my bodies in the photo, but the way it turned out was that my shadow self was kind of cut in half on the side, and the blackberry bramble branches were kind of intertwined into my shadow self, and it just looks so haunting and so beautiful. It turned out in a way that we both couldn't have expected. I feel that this photo is a very strong reflection of the spiritual work that I've done, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. The second photo that we did was my self-portrait, and Ken and I tend to always do a self-portrait of me when we do our shoots. The very first time that we did a shoot, my self-portrait was very dark. In fact, when we posted it online, someone that I know who has known me since before I was born left a really negative comment on it and said that they didn't recognize me in this photo and that they didn't like it, but it was a reflection of where I was at, and I was in a dark place, and I love that photo. So this photo was really me standing in my power as a witch, and I am holding the broom that I have. I just love it. I'm also wearing the exact same outfit that I wore when I hand fasted another witch friend of mine on the new moon in Virgo, which is my rising sign, and that event was a spiritual initiation for me. So this photo had a lot of details that other people might not know when looking at it, but I feel the energy really came together, and I really love this photo. The next photo that we did was the kind of Alice in Wonderland themed one, and I thought it would be really cool to try and use a mirror in a wet plate. Ken and I both really love how this one turned out. It's so whimsical. It feels like I'm about to enter into this portal of that alder tree, and it feels like I'm about to enter into this portal of my soul. And I think that Ken also expressed that he liked this photo because it was a challenge for him as a photographer. So that is the kind of Alice in Wonderland photo that we took. So those are the photos that we got this time around, and as always, I really love them. I think they're so beautiful, and wet plate photos and the whole wet plate collodion process is so amazing. It's so unique, and I am forever grateful for these opportunities to bring these visions that I have to life through wet plates and tintypes, and it's just such a magical process and so old-timey. And so if you are in the Victoria area, 100% please connect with Ken. If you want a portrait or you want to do something creative, he has a studio. And so if you're in the Victoria area or you want to travel to the Victoria area, he is an incredible and patient wet plate photographer that you need to work with. So definitely check out his offerings, and I will leave those links for you in the description box. And I hope that you enjoyed this process, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.